Let's talk to the Shadow Work and Pensions Secretary, Liz Kendall. Good to see you this morning. Here's one for you. Is Angela Rayner the de facto leader of the Labour Party?
No. I mean, Keir and Angela are in exactly the same place on our plan to change the country, to turn the page on the chaos and decline we've seen under the Tories for the past 14 years, which is why they and Rachel Reeves are launching our battle bus today to take that message to every part of this country.
What do you think of that poll that came in last night that puts Labour so far ahead? It could almost be that the Conservatives are feeling that it's almost dangerous. You'd have too much power.
I mean, I don't believe polls. I'm not just saying this. I don't believe them. I have feeling a bit long in the teeth here. You know, every time I see a poll and then it all changes. The one thing I've learned over my time in politics is just how volatile things are. And that tells me you can never, ever take a single vote for granted. There's lots of people who haven't made up their minds. There's lots of people who will change their minds. So until those polling stations shut at 10 p.m. on the 4th of July, there's a long way to go.
I mean, I know I'm sort of going to ask for a turkey to vote for Christmas, but is it, I mean, do you think it would be dangerous for any party, and in this poll your party, to have that bigger majority in terms of how democracy works?
Look, I'm interested in trying to convince your listeners that we have a plan to change. I think the biggest problem we've got, everybody, and I've been in Mansfield, Blackpool, Corby and East Northampton, Leicester this week, is to convince people that any politician can change things. You know, we're going to have to work day and night to show people we have a fully costed, fully funded plan that will make a difference. People, I think, have had the hope kicked out of them. They don't believe politicians can make changes. So we've got to explain to them our plans to cut NHS waiting times, tackle antisocial behaviour and set up a new border security command, fully costed, fully funded. But people will need convincing, and we've got a long way to go till that general election.
How do you convince people then, those people who are middle of the road, you know, you're centre ground people who, and a lot of them email us and say the problem is you vote for Starmer, you get Corbyn, or a momentum-style Labour Party. How do you convince them that isn't the case when now Diane Abbott? Well, I know he's not part of the party now, but that whole momentum-style, very left Labour Party. How do you convince them that that isn't the case when Diane Abbott is now allowed to run under the Labour banner?
Well, look, Keir has completely changed the Labour Party from where we were in 2019. Well, you may not remember this, but that awful, awful morning after the 2019 election, our catastrophic defeat. And it's due to Keir and his leadership that we've changed, that we now say to people, you know, you can trust us with your money, we'll never make a spending commitment we can't keep, that we are proud to be British and stand up and say we love our country, and that we stand full square behind our armed forces and we will never put the security of this country at risk. I mean, none of those things we would have said or done 5 years ago. And to make that change in such quicker time, I think shows that he's a strong leader, he's got a plan for change and he's going to deliver it. And when I talk to people, you know, I know that people, you know, after 14 years of chaos and decline, and promises made and not delivered, they don't believe change can happen. But being as old as I am, I remember in 1997 when we said we'd take 100,000 people off the waiting lists. But by the time we left government, we had ended waiting in the NHS. So we have our clear steps. You know, commitments that we've made, fully costed, fully funded, our first steps, but there's going to take a long time to turn this country around. We are humble, but we are determined, and we are absolutely committed to making change.
Earlier in the programme, we spoke to the Minister of State for Science, Research and Innovation, Andrew Griffith, who said that the trouble is people are pretty cynical about politicians generally, but very much so about Labour. They're worried that you are at the moment appealing to the middle ground. You're saying the things that will appeal to the middle ground. But deep inside, you're still hard left, and those policies will come into play if you get into power. In other words, we can't really trust what you say.
Look, Keir's changed the Labour Party, and we've got a plan to change the country, and we want people to be better off. We don't want them to be poor. You know, it's the Tories that have got the highest tax burden for 70 years. It's the Tories who have overseen a situation where living standards are stagnant, where bills are rising, interest rates, mortgages, rents. You know, it's the Tories that have overseen sort of record numbers of people on NHS waiting lists. So I think most of your listeners will do, with their common sense, will take those comments and just put them in the bin.
But there's a very real question about, I don't know how best to describe it, pension tax, I mean, dubbed retirement tax by the Tories, which they say they've asked you repeatedly to rule out, and you haven't done. You're going to hit pensioners with additional tax.
Look, the Tories say their policy is to scrap national insurance contributions, which fund the state pension. £46 billion unfunded commitment. So maybe they should answer the question, where are they going to get the money from?
Well, they say
where are they going to get the money? They're the ones who've made a £46 billion. No, Jeremy Hunt told the House of Commons on the 7th of May in Treasury Questions, that is our policy, to remove national insurance contributions. He said it. So that is the question for pensioners. You know, pensioners deserve security and stability in their retirement. They've worked hard and paid their taxes all their life. You know, to have a Tory party that wants to scrap national insurance, what's going to happen to their state pension? How's it going to be funded? What's going to happen to the funding that goes from that into the NHS? That is the question on the ballot box. We are committed to the triple lock, absolute rock solid commitment to the pensions triple lock. And crucially, for people coming up to retirement, we've got to keep those interest rates low. We've got to grow the economy so that we can have that investment to put into our pension and vital public services. That's what's on the ballot paper. That is what is on the ballot paper. And your viewers will have the good sense. They know what's happened to their taxes. They know what's happened to their bills. They want rightly to know that they can trust us. And Rachel Reeves, utterly serious, committed and determined, economic stability before anything, a plan to grow the economy and put money back into people's pockets. That is our message today, out and about on our battle bus in every part of the country. So we'll give a wave to your viewers when we see them in their local area.
I'm sure they'd like that. So you're saying then, are you, as Shadow Work and Pension Secretary Liz Kendall, that under a Labour government, the state pension would not be taxed?
Look, absolutely not. Look, we have an absolute iron cast guarantee on the triple lock on the state pension. We will never put economic stability at risk. We want to see the economy growing so that future pensioners and their pension funds aren't put at risk. I mean, absolutely millions were wiped off pension funds when Liz Truss crashed the economy. You know, our pensioners deserve better than that, and that is our absolutely firm commitment.
Sorry, just to reiterate that, the state pension will never fall into a tax bracket.
We are absolutely clear. We will never make spending commitments we can't keep. And I think it is completely rich from the Tories when they are the people who have said they, have raised taxes to the highest burden in 70 years. People are paying more and getting less. We have a cast iron commitment to economic stability, to the triple lock on the state pension, and crucially to make sure our economy grows so future pensioners have those decent funds in retirement. I would say to your viewers, look at the tax burden under the Tories. The only party that is putting your pension at risk and threatens higher taxes on people is the Conservatives. I say, look, if you have 5 more years of the Tories, you'll have 5 more years of the same result. We are absolutely committed to that on the state pension. And our message to people here is if you want change, you need to vote for it. And I actually believe that economic stability in this country would be a change after 14 years of the Tories, all the chopping and changing and Liz Truss's disastrous mini-budget.
I'm not sure you answered my question there. Will the state pension always never fall into a tax bracket? In other words, will never be taxed?
It is the Tories who have raised taxes on ordinary working people, and they are the people who are putting
but that's
the
not a yes or no.
At risk by their 46. We will listen. The Tories are the ones putting the state pension at risk because
we want to know what you are doing.
£46 billion unfunding spending commitment.
We want to know what you're promising.
Our clear commitment Our promise is to retain the triple lock, the pension triple lock over the Parliament, to guarantee economic stability with tough spending rules and a clear fiscal lock, and for the future to make sure our economy grows so we can make sure the pension funds of this country grow too. I mean, I think it is astonishing that the Tories are claiming they want to be the party of lower taxes when we have the highest tax burden in 70 years. You know, there was a choice on the ballot paper on the 4th of July, a party that will put economic stability
But you still haven't answered the question.
No,
we hear you.
For 5 more years of the...
Okay.
I have answered the question, which is we will never put that state pension at risk, and we will guarantee the triple. And look, we want to bring.
Oh, come on, Liz Kendall. Come on, you've had a right. You're an old pro at this, and you know it. What we want to know is, you say economic stability is guaranteed under this. Fine. You say the triple lock is guaranteed. Fine. But would the state pension ever be taxed?
And I'll also say that we will listen. I will also say to you, we will never make unfunded spending commitments. Everything that we've set out,
we want to know about the
pension.
And the Tories have never set out how they will fund that. I mean, they never set out how they'll fund that, how they'll fund their so-called commitment to a national service. You know, they said they're going to give more money to towns without spending that. That is the point. Your viewers want to know, if they have to make a spending commitment, they've got to show where they get the funding from. They don't want us making policy on the back of a fag packet. They want to know how you fund everything. Rachel Reeves has been absolutely clear about that. And my message to pensioners is, if you want to make sure your pension is safe, it's a vote for Labour on the 4th of July.